From Tommy's point of view, Paz represents instability. She is tied to Angela, and Angela is tied to federal history that can never fully disappear. No matter how much time passes, law enforcement always circles back to old cases when new connections appear. If Paz starts asking questions or talking to the wrong people, she becomes a door that cannot be closed quietly. Tommy has already seen how emotional connections destroy empires. Ghost trusted too many people. Angela trusted the system. Both paid the price. Tommy learned from their mistakes. He does not wait for proof anymore. He does not wait for betrayal. The moment someone becomes a possible threat, Tommy begins planning the end of that problem. That is not cruelty. That is discipline. Another reason Tommy would be forced to act is control. Tommy's world only works when he controls the flow of information. Paz cannot be controlled. She is not loyal to him. She does not fear him. She is driven by emotion, not logic. That makes her unpredictable. And unpredictability is dangerous. Tommy cannot negotiate with someone who doesn't understand the rules of his world. There is also the emotional side that Tommy will never admit out loud. Paz is a living reminder of Angela and Ghost. Every time her name comes up, it pulls Tommy back into a life he is trying to escape. Power Legacy shows Tommy trying to move forward, to build something that lasts. He cannot do that while the past keeps knocking. Killing Paz would not just remove a threat. It would close a chapter. Tommy also understands that mercy creates weakness. In his past, every time he showed mercy, it came back to haunt him. Someone talked, someone flipped, someone made a mistake that cost lives. Paz might never intend to hurt him, but intention has never saved anyone in power. Outcomes are all that matter. If Paz confronts Tommy directly, the choice becomes even simpler. Tommy does not argue with people who threaten his future, even emotionally. He would listen, stay calm, and act when the moment is right. No warnings, no second chances. That is how he survives now. What makes this potential killing so chilling is how quiet it would be. No chaos, no public fallout, just a clean removal of risk. That is the kind of move Power Legacy uses to show growth in its characters. Tommy killing Paz would not be about rage. It would be about responsibility, twisted. As that sounds in the end, Tommy would see Paz's death as unavoidable. Not because she is evil, but because she exists in the wrong place at the wrong time, in power. Timing is everything. And Paz Valdez may have outlived her time in a world that no longer has room for unfinished stories. If Tommy Egan decides that Paz Valdez has to die, it will not be loud or dramatic. Power Legacy has shown that Tommy no longer moves with chaos. He moves with purpose. That means Paz's death would likely happen in a way that feels small, quiet, and almost invisible to the outside world. And that is exactly what makes it believable. One possible way it happens is through distance. Tommy would not rush into Paz's life suddenly. He would watch first. He would learn where she goes, who she talks to, and what her routine looks like. Tommy always gathers information before he acts. If he sees signs that Paz is asking questions or reconnecting with law enforcement, that would confirm his fears. Once confirmed, the decision would already be made. Another likely scenario is that Paz crosses paths with Tommy by accident. Power loves moments that feel random but are actually planned by fate. Paz could recognize Tommy from the past, maybe from Angela's life, and try to confront him, not with anger, but with confusion. She might want answers. That would be dangerous. A single conversation could reveal how much she knows or how much she suspects. Tommy would stay calm, listen carefully, and say very little. But inside, he would already be calculating the risk. Tommy would never kill Paz in public. That would bring attention, questions, and investigation. If he acts, it would be somewhere quiet. A parking lot, a hallway, a place where her death could be explained away as random violence or an accident. Power has always shown that the cleanest deaths are the ones that raise the fewest questions. There is also a chance that Tommy does not pull the trigger himself. He has learned to keep distance between his hands and certain outcomes. Someone else could be used. A mistake arranged to look natural. A situation where Paz is in the wrong place at the wrong time. Tommy's strength now is planning, not presence. If Paz dies without anyone ever linking it back to him, that is a success in his eyes. Another chilling possibility is that Paz forces the moment herself. Grief can make people reckless. If she threatens to expose something, even without proof, that threat alone seals her fate. Tommy does not wait for someone to act. He removes the option completely. In his world, threats are treated as actions that just haven't happened yet. What makes all these scenarios work is how they fit Tommy's current mindset. He does not act out of emotion. He acts out of prevention. Paz's death would not feel personal to him, even though the history is deeply personal. That emotional distance allows him to move without hesitation. Power Legacy would likely present this moment without long dialogue. No speeches. No explanations. Just a quick, final action that leaves viewers shocked but understanding why it happened. Paz's story would end the same way many Power stories do. Not because the character was evil, but because they stood too close to the truth. In the end, Paz Valdez would not die because she wanted revenge or justice. She would die because she knew too much, felt too much, and lived too long in a world where survival depends on silence. If Paz Valdez dies in Power Legacy Season 1, the impact would be much bigger than it first appears. On the surface, she seems like a minor character from the past, but her death would send a clear message about the direction of the story. It would show that Power Legacy is not interested in nostalgia or mercy. It is focused on consequences. First, Paz's death would confirm that the past is officially dangerous again. Power Legacy would be telling the audience that no character is safe. Just because their story feels finished, anyone connected to Ghost, Angela, or old federal cases is still in play. This instantly raises tension. Viewers would realize that the show is willing to reach back and erase unfinished business without warning. Second, it would redefine Tommy's role in this new era. Killing Paz would not be about power or territory. It would be about control. It would show that Tommy is no longer reacting to threats, but preventing them before they grow. That places him above many other characters in the Power universe. He is not surviving by luck anymore. He is surviving by design. This moment would also separate Power Legacy from earlier shows. In the original Power, emotional characters often survived longer than they should have. In Legacy, emotion becomes a liability. Paz represents grief, memory, and unresolved pain. Her removal would signal that those qualities no longer have a place in the story. Only adaptation matters now. Another major impact would be on how viewers see justice in the Power world. Paz dying would feel unfair. She is not a criminal. She is not violent. That discomfort is intentional. Power has always challenged the idea of fairness. By killing Paz, the show would remind the audience that morality does not protect you in this universe. Awareness does. Paz's death could also trigger new story paths. Law enforcement might reopen questions. Other characters connected to Angela could start watching their backs, even if Paz never spoke. Her disappearance alone could create suspicion. That ripple effect keeps the story moving forward while keeping tension high. From a storytelling perspective, this would be a smart move. It ties old storylines to new ones without relying on flashbacks or long explanations. A single death can carry years of history with it. That is efficient, powerful writing. Power Legacy thrives on moments like that. Most importantly, Paz's death would solidify the tone of Season 1. It would tell viewers that this is not a redemption story. It is a survival story. Tommy is not trying to be better. He is trying to last. Anyone who threatens that goal, even by accident, becomes expendable. In the end, Paz Valdez dying would not be a shock for shock's sake. It would be a statement. Power legacy would be saying that the future belongs to those who cut ties cleanly, erase the past completely, and never look back. If Tommy Egan kills Paz Valdez, it would not just close her story. It would close a circle that started long before power legacy ever existed. Paz is one of the last living links to Angela, and Angela was one of the last links to the version of Tommy that still believed in loyalty mixed with love. Removing Paz means removing the final reminder of that life. Tommy's journey has always been about loss. Every season, he loses someone who ties him to his humanity. First it was family, then friends, then ghost, and finally the idea that love could exist without danger. Paz represents all of that loss wrapped into one person. As long as she exists, that chapter is never fully over. Her death would be Tommy accepting that there is no going back, not even in memory. This moment would also clarify who Tommy truly is now. He is not a villain in the traditional sense, and he is not a hero either. He is a survivor shaped by experience. Killing Paz would show that Tommy no longer makes choices based on guilt or regret. He makes them based on outcomes. That is the final stage of his evolution. From a character point of view, this would harden Tommy even more. After Paz, there would be no emotional ties left to Ghost's world. No sisters. Paz Valdez has always been more important than people think. She was never just Angela's sister. She was the emotional shadow that followed every choice Angela made. When Angela died, Paz did not move on. She didn't heal. She stayed stuck in pain, anger, and questions that never got answers. In the Power universe, characters like that don't fade away quietly. They linger, and lingering always leads to trouble. After Angela's death, Paz blamed Ghost. She blamed his lifestyle, his lies, and the world he lived in. Even when the truth became messy, Paz never stopped believing that Ghost was the reason her sister lost everything. That belief turned into obsession. She wanted justice, even if justice no longer made sense. She wanted someone to pay, even if the system had already moved on. Paz survived longer than most emotional characters in Power. That alone is strange. Power is a world where loose ends are cut fast. Anyone tied to the past usually disappears, gets locked up, or ends up dead. Paz avoided all three. That makes her unfinished business. She carries memories, stories, and emotions that connect directly to Ghost, Tommy, and law enforcement. Even if she doesn't mean harm, her existence alone is a risk. What makes Paz dangerous is not strength or power. It's grief. Grief makes people talk. Grief makes people ask questions they shouldn't. Grief makes people dig into old wounds that were sealed for a reason. Paz lived close to Angela, and Angela lived deep inside federal cases. Files, names, conversations. And secrets don't just disappear because someone dies. They stay in drawers, in emails, and sometimes in a sister's. Memory dot in Power legacy. The past is becoming valuable again. Old names are being spoken. Old actions are being judged. That puts Paz in a risky position. She represents a bridge between the legal world and the criminal one. She doesn't need proof to cause damage. All she needs is to talk to the wrong person at the wrong time, with the wrong emotion guiding her. Paz also represents something personal for Tommy. She is tied to Angela, and Angela was tied to Ghost. That triangle carries pain, guilt, and regret. Tommy has spent years trying to bury that part of his life. He has changed cities, rules, and even his way of thinking. But Paz is a reminder that some ghosts never leave. As long as she lives, that chapter is not fully closed dot in the Power universe. Survival is not about being innocent. It's about being useful or invisible. Paz is neither. She has no protection, no street power, and no clear purpose anymore. That makes her a target waiting for the right moment. And when characters like Tommy Egan are involved, the right moment always comes sooner than expected. Tommy Egan is no longer the man we first met in Power. Back then, Tommy was loud, reckless, and driven by emotion. He reacted before thinking and trusted the wrong people because his heart was always involved. But Power Legacy shows a very different Tommy. This version is quieter, more controlled, and far more dangerous. He doesn't act for revenge anymore. He acts for survival. After Ghost's death, something inside Tommy changed forever. Losing Ghost didn't just hurt him, it rewired him. He realized that emotions were weaknesses and loose ends were killers. Everywhere Tommy looks now, he sees lessons from the past. He understands that one mistake, one emotional choice, can destroy everything he has built. That awareness makes him ruthless in a calm, focused way. In Power Legacy, Tommy doesn't kill out of anger. He kills out of logic. If someone becomes a problem, even a small one, Tommy removes that problem before it grows. This is what separates him from his old self. Old Tommy argued, shouted, and gave chances. New Tommy watches, waits, and finishes things cleanly. That mindset makes people like Paz Valdez extremely unsafe. Tommy has learned that danger doesn't always come from guns or gangs. Sometimes it comes from memories, questions, and people who can't let the past rest. Paz fits that category perfectly. She represents a time in Tommy's life that almost destroyed him. Angela, Ghost, federal pressure, betrayals, Olive. That chaos circles back through Paz. Even if she means no harm, her presence alone brings risk. What makes Tommy especially dangerous now is that he doesn't need proof. He doesn't wait for confirmation. If there's even a chance that someone could expose him, threaten his future, or pull him back into old problems, he takes action. Tommy has seen what hesitation costs. He has buried friends, lovers, and family because they waited too long. That lesson stays with him. Power Legacy paints Tommy as a closer. He finishes stories instead of letting them drag on. When he makes a move, it's final. No speeches, no warnings, just silence and consequences. This is important when thinking about Paz. Tommy would never argue with her or try to explain himself. To him, explanations are pointless. Outcomes matter more than emotions. Another key change in Tommy is his relationship with guilt. The old Tommy carried guilt like a weight. The new Tommy accepts it as part of the job. He doesn't enjoy killing, but he also doesn't lose sleep over it. If someone's death protects his future, he sees it as necessary. That cold acceptance is what makes him unstoppable. Tommy also understands something Paz doesn't. The world they live in does not reward innocence. It rewards awareness. Paz still believes in right and wrong. Tommy believes in cause and effect. If Paz causes instability, even by accident, Tommy becomes the effect. He doesn't need hate to pull the trigger. He only needs a reason. In Power Legacy Season 1, Tommy is trying to build something lasting. Stability matters more than ever. Anyone connected to federal history, old investigations, or Ghost's shadow becomes a threat to that stability. Paz is not part of Tommy's future. She is part of his past. And Tommy Egan has learned that the only safe way forward is to erase the past completely. Paz Valdez does not need to be powerful to be dangerous. She only needs to know something that someone else wants buried. In the Power universe, information is more lethal than bullets, and Paz has always been closer to information than she realizes. Her connection to Angela places her near years of federal work, hidden files, and conversations that never made it into court records. Angela lived two lives at once. One was public, clean, and legal. The other was private, messy, and full of secrets. Paz was part of that private side. She heard anger, fear, doubt, and regret in Angela's voice long before anyone else did, even if Angela never shared full details. Fragments matter. Names without context, dates without meaning, and half-told stories can still destroy lives when placed in the wrong hands. There is also the issue of unfinished investigations. Federal cases do not simply disappear when an agent dies. Notes remain. Digital files stay stored. Old evidence gets archived, not erased. Paz may not even realize what she has access to. A laptop, a folder, an email account, or a memory could become a problem without her ever trying to cause one. In Power Legacy, even accidents have consequences. Another dangerous possibility is Paz's emotional state. Grief. Never fully left her. That kind of pain looks for answers. People who are hurting often talk to the wrong people because they want closure. Paz could speak to law enforcement, journalists, or even former colleagues of Angela, thinking she is honoring her sister. But in doing so, she could reopen doors that were sealed for a reason. Paz might also suspect that the truth about Angela's death was never complete. That suspicion alone is risky. When people feel lied to, they start searching. Searching leads to questions. Questions lead to names, and names lead back to Tommy Egan. Even if Paz never reaches him directly, the noise she creates could reach others who are already watching from the shadows. Another angle is guilt. Paz carries guilt for not stopping Angela, not protecting her, and not seeing the danger sooner. Guilt pushes people to fix the past, even when the past cannot be fixed. That need to make things right can turn into reckless behavior. Paz could believe exposing the truth is justice, without realizing that justice in this world is not the same as safety. What makes this situation more dangerous is that Paz doesn't see herself as a threat. She believes she has nothing left to lose. In Power, characters who feel that way become unpredictable. They speak freely, ignore warnings, and underestimate the cost of honesty. Paz may think she is invisible because she is not part of the criminal world. But that illusion is what puts her most at risk. From Tommy's point of view, uncertainty is unacceptable. He doesn't need to know exactly what Paz knows. The possibility is enough. If there is even a small chance that Paz could expose something tied to Ghost, Angela, or his current operation, Tommy will not wait. He has learned that information leaks grow fast and are impossible to stop once they start. In Power Legacy Season 1, secrets are currency. Everyone is trading, hiding, or protecting something. Paz unknowingly holds a piece of that currency. And in a world ruled by people like Tommy Egan, holding the wrong secret can turn an ordinary person into a fatal liability. Tommy Egan does not wake up looking for reasons to kill someone like Paz Valdez. That is what makes this situation more dangerous. Paz is not an enemy, not a criminal, and not part of the game. But in Power Legacy, those are often the people who die first. Tommy understands that survival is not about who deserves.